Hey, how you doing? It's John here. This is my home studio setup, Scabbey Road. I'm going to say a lot, aren't I? Hey, how you doing? I'm John. This is my home studio, Scabbey Road. Just been reconfigured for the 1000th time. Great fun. I love playing with wires. So I thought I'd start doing a series of videos just on about hybrid recording, hybrid mixing. Just experiment, see what we end up with when I do stuff. I started doing recordings and bits and bobs in the early 80s. First thing I used was this bizarre little beatbox that had a drum machine, and you could record one track with the drum machine added in, and then you could record a second track on the side of that, so you had two whole magic tracks of recording. Apparently Sting used to use them when he was on tour to write songs on it. From then I moved on to the classic X15, so cheap and cheerful 4-track Fostex device with an awful cool drum machine added on. Eventually I ended up getting a Alesis SR16, which is still sitting there. I did work with a Zoom sample track for a while, which was great fun, which then maybe progressed onto using a EMU 5000, E5000, which unfortunately died, and everything that I ever did, spare samples and stuff, all sort of disappeared into the ether with that one, so that was a bit of a pisser of the day. So this kit has sort of evolved over the last 25 years. Got the 8-track in '98, I think it was. Probably one of the effects boxes in '98. The desk came a couple of years later. They inherited a bit of money, so it's the last present my parents ever bought me, and I will never ever get rid of it. And then the other bits and bobs just kind of, here and there. So everything's filled up. I don't want to buy any other boxes. The last one I got the other day was the Behringer 1820. I've got 2 of those, which runs the computer through the desk. So it's finally as I've always wanted it. For the moment. So the main reason that I've set myself as working hybrid as much as possible is that, working all day in an office, on a computer, the last thing I want to be doing is using that little beast when I get here. And I love Reaper. I think it's an amazing thing, but I just can't stand doing all the little clicks and clacks and clicks, and especially when it comes to doing EQ, it drives me mad. So I thought, bite the bullet, get it all plugged through the desk, so I can actually, because I'm old, enjoy playing with the faders, twiddle the knobs, speed things up for me, because it's quick on a computer, but it just does my nut and my hands get achy and whatever. For me, the old way is the fun way, and you actually mix with your ears as opposed to watching the little EQ curves going up and down on the screen. So curmudgeon. So as this is an introduction, I'll just run you through the routing of how it works and sort of my thinking behind it. I could be completely wrong. I'm doing it my way, just like Sid Vicious. I set the whole thing up as a sort of mix and match that I could work digitally. I can work on a tape. Everything's ready and plugged, so it's all as quick as, and I shouldn't have to do any routing. In fact, there is no routing, it's already done. So I'll take you through that in a little bit. Cool. Routing, here we go. Okay, so tracks 1 and 2, mic. So they're connected through that line. You can either plug a mic in the back. Alternatively, we go across to the EU1820. Mics go in there. That tends to be going directly to the computer. Desks are the ones that would go into the 8-track. So if I was going to record on 8-track, get my level, assign it to a bus. From there, bus fader goes up. At the bottom there, I've got those labelled, from 1 to 8. That connects across into my patch bay, so I would take a plug out from whichever one I'd connected it to, into F1, F2, F3 or F4, which are the inputs for the 8-track. Fill all the tracks up on that. Maybe I'm going to use 8, who knows. But if I wanted to then move it onto the computer, back to the desk, we've got 8 tracks there, which are the outs from the Foztex. Zap those all up, assign a bus. All 8 faders would then be up to get our levels going on the in there, and from the G1s to G8s there, they would be connected into the computer via the audio interface 2 in there, and then the other 6 being the ones connected into there. Next route in is my awful electronic drum kit. Awful because I'm an awful drummer. It would be good if I was good at it. So they're connected into the desk. I'll explain why in a second. So there's a kick, a snare, hat, crash, tom and tom. That then routes out round the back, not via the patch bay, just direct into the brain of the thing. So why didn't I connect it just directly to the brain? So the reason for that was that on Reaper you can play samples from any noise triggers. So I might not necessarily want to play the drum noises in the box of the Yamaha. I might want to play samples, in which case, rather than doing it via MIDI, which obviously I could do, so at the time I didn't have a MIDI connector, I was playing the thumps from the drum pads directly into the computer. I used to use a Zoom R24 as my audio interface, so there was a route in to get more than one track in there. So you could play along, going tap tap tap, which would then convert into drum sounds, which you could listen to through the computer. Next, we've got the next 4 tracks as kicks, snare, hat and cymbal from the SR16, which very rarely gets used because it does sound incredibly dated now, but it's nice just to have it there should I need to. And it's dead space, so fill the thing up anyway. So next one is DTX, which is the drum kit. Only one of those is connected at the moment. I've got one running through the desk, and then I run the other one through the patch bay, so I can either have it going direct from the box, or I can have it going direct, going with some signal processing, some EQ if I need to run it. 23 and 24, just spare tracks, so should anything, like I can run effects through here, for effects, and then use some EQ on them, and those inputs there are connected in via the patch bay. So out, you've got the 8-track, as I showed before, goes directly into the desk. Get your mix going on that, and that can go, you can run it into the computer via the Behringer gear, or if I want to mix from the computer, that's connected via the 2 audio interfaces, and then we've got 1 to 20 down there. It's connected into that thing over there. So all the EQs and whatever's, I can do it all manually on here. Unlikely I'm ever going to use more than 20 tracks. If I had to add things together, like if I can sub-mix down a bus in the computer for, let's say, if I have 30 drums all connected in together, I can make it in one kit and run it through 2 if I had to, if I wanted more. But if I get 10 tracks of drums, that's as much as I ever use. 2 or 3 guitars, 1 bass, vocals, bits and bobs here and there. You can run the effects through the rest of them, and away basically. So lastly, we've got the processing and how they're connected into the patch bay. So I've got the 2 Zoom units there, multi-effects, tends to be used more for reverbs than anything else. I'm not a super effects heavy guy, but occasionally. And then the Lisa's compressor, which apparently everybody hates, but it works. And then the guitar modelling gear. I've got another guitar modelling one there, the old J Station, which is sort of poor man's version of a pod. The pod gets used more than anything else. So inputs for those, there's a pod hole, a J Station hole. These are FROMs, which then I can route in. I can run it through the desk if I want to go through through the desk and some EQ, or I can just take it with the patch cord straight into the input there. Most of my stuff is recorded mono. the most I would probably ever do, I'm never going to do a drum kit here because the neighbours would kill me. So the most tracks I'm ever going to go through that would be 8 tracks, which would be the reel to reel. But majority of stuff it's one at a time. And then there's the ins and the outs, the twos and the froms from the compressor, the 1000, the GTC. There's a reason for that. Good Time Charlie's a Pompey band. So if I wanted to run the effects through the board, I would assign via the buses, fade up, take the fade, whichever the connector to that fader was, plug it into whichever one I want to route. You could daisy chain them if necessary, sometimes do. That could then go back through the board if I wanted to EQ it, and then take the master mix out to however I want to do the master mix. Lastly, now being used as a Midi keyboard, occasionally use it for synth noises. I'm not very... Why I bought a synth, I've absolutely no idea, but I'm glad I did. Anything else? Yeah, last but not least, the magic that is the stylophone. Battery's not included. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this. As I say, I'm going to do as many videos as I can on different... whatever little thing that comes to mind, we'll get plug through it and we'll see what we end up with. Hopefully you might like some of them. Cheers for watching, bye. You might as well do the like and subscribe because that's the thing everybody asks for these days. Ask for the bell in the what's it and all that crap.